It is I, Jesse, the great Jesse, the twitchy Jesse. I'm back.
Twitchy Jesse.
Yeah, I'm back with my Tourette's. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
It's been great with my Tourette's recently. My tics have been getting worse. It's great.
Oh, that's not good.
No. Here lately, I've been actually ticking more while driving. And while driving and just generally sitting down overall, my left leg has the urge to where I have to just move it and straight up just wiggle it and jiggle it and almost kick shit while driving, and it fucking sucks because I'm just over here trying to drive, and next thing I know, my leg just has the urge, and I mean, I can control it, but it don't feel right to control it, of course, like I said before. And so I have to just, like, while driving, just fucking wiggle my left leg just until it's satisfied, and then I can put it down and then just jerk it a few more times, and it'll be fine. It also hurts my knee. Where while I'm walking around at work and stuff, one night when I first started doing this with my legs, it actually I had to wear like a knee brace. That I had to go buy a knee brace, and then go and wear it for the rest of the night, and even the next night or two after that or so, because my knee was actually hurting to the point where I actually was like couldn't bend it, and I started having to limp like this one guy that actually works on days that has arthritis in his hip. So I was walking around like that, like he does. He practically drags his leg, and it was my right leg at the time, actually. I had to have the knee brace on. It sucked. But other than that, things all right. Christmas went well. Got lots of good goodies from my girlfriend, and I got her like 3 things, but she loves them.
That's what's important.
Yeah. I had band practice yesterday. It went well. We're recording nothing yet, actually. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I spaced out for a half second. We're gonna be recording our EP, the rest of our EP pretty soon, hopefully. And then
so you guys put out a single not too long ago, right?
Yeah. It's gotten pretty positive feedback so far.
Yeah. Do you want to plug your band real quick? I mean,
well, I guess real quick, for any of you metalheads, specifically death metal heads, but any just metalheads that enjoy heavy metal, I'm in a band called Shadows of Insanity. I'm the drummer, which means I'm the best part. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm the drummer, and the name of the song is Appetite for the Sick, and it's a pretty good song. I really like it, and you should check it out. It's on YouTube. Just type in Shadows of Insanity.
And hit that subscribe button.
And hit that subscribe button. Like and subscribe. Hit that, ring, the bell to get notification. We're also on bandcamp.com, which any musician should pretty well know what that is. If they don't, it's a website where you can go and download, buy and download music. Again, the name of the band is Shadows of Insanity, and
so is there anything particular you wanted to talk about?
I keep thinking about talking about religion, but I kind of want to keep that nice little golden nugget. I know you said people kept rewinding that one part and when I was describing the different magics, how they work.
Yeah.
Apparently people kept rewinding that part.
Yeah, at the highest spike, which means people were rewatching that.
I wonder who was watching that and why they didn't comment. That was a weird noise I made. That came right out of my nose. I don't think I could do it again on purpose. Well, I wonder why no one ever commented. Did anyone ever comment on that?
No, we hardly ever get comments.
They rewatched that part, but they did not comment on that part. Oh well. But all that stuff is really interesting to a lot of people. I still find it interesting, and I'm still learning all about it, of course. I have no real idea of how it works. I do know that my girlfriend, her friend, bought me a little crystal type thing. it's in the shape of a skull. That part's probably mostly for cosmetic reasons, just to look cool. But the material it's made out of, the mineral it's made out of, is real good to like bring people together, and such, good for like love and whatnot. The energy from it is good for like love and bringing people together and such, as well as I guess bringing good fortune. Because he asked me what is it that I wish for, that I would like, and I told him, maybe wealth through my band or some, good fortune with my band. And he said, all right, come with me. So and we were at a mall in Illinois at some Wiccan type shop. Those shops are real liberal, but the stuff they sell is really cool looking. Expensive, way over damn priced, but really cool looking. And if you have the extra cash, they're fun it's fun to go to those places and grab a couple things.
I do find, because you mentioned this, I do find that most people, at least almost everyone that I've met that would describe themselves as pagan or Wiccan, other than yourself, you're actually the only one that I've met that doesn't consider themselves to be left-leaning.
Well, it's because a lot of that stuff is pretty free-loving, pretty like open to the more left-leaning political aspect, or political ideologies, if you will. Yeah, free-loving, be what you want to be, don't judge.
Like hippie-ish, without the negative connotation.
Pretty much, yeah, because, I see Wiccan, as far as specifically Wiccan goes, in Wicca, I see that as basically the hippies of the various magics and beliefs, pagan belief systems, because it is more along the lines with nature and loving nature and being one with nature. Pretty much a lot of nature. That's why a lot of them are more into using the different things like crystals, incense, and herbs for magic, because they're using, the earth. They like to be one with the earth. But they're also pretty free-loving, of course. They're the ones that want to save the trees, that want to save the animals, that want to, because it's all nature. So right. They want to protect nature, which tends to also be more on the left-leaning side of things with environmentalism, and also they're pretty free-loving, so they pretty much do the whole live and let live kind of concept, more or less. Not quite the way that sounds. I do the live and let live. You believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, whatever. But they're kind of more on the, basically the left-leaning aspect of all that kind of free-loving stuff. They're pretty into the free spirit. A lot of free-spirited people that I've met are more Wiccan-y, like, where they, they smoke weed, they pretty much do what they want, and, pretty free-spirited. They don't even... They're supposed to not judge too much, or at least I guess you're not supposed to judge them, because a lot of times women that are real Wiccan-like and left-leaning-like will be pretty slutty. That's a hard way to put it. They'll just kind of sleep with whoever they want, and you really can't judge them, because if you do, then you're an asshole, because they could do what they want. They're not...
Are you saying that's what they think, or that's what people should think of them?
That's what some of them think. Some of the more extreme ones...
Okay. That's what they think other people should think about them.
No, that they should just be able to do what they want.
Right.
But of course, because they're very free-spirited, they then do what they want, and then, they smoke weed, make bad decisions, have sex with whoever the fuck they want.
Hedonism. Hedonism.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is a very, hippie, free-loving type of attitude. The more calmer Wiccans are are a lot more, I want to say tolerable. That sounds bad. Well, just better. More comfortable to be around, because they really won't judge you. They really do have that moderate level of the free loving. They use nature and magic and stuff, and they do maybe even worship nature, but they don't, they don't get mad if you eat a fucking burger, per se. But a lot of Wiccans are also vegan a lot, or at least vegetarian, if not vegan. I've noticed.
Yeah, which is, it's strange. Because if you think you know a lot about nature, then I would imagine you would realize and come to terms with the fact that you're an omnivore and that you can't operate correctly without protein.
Yeah. And you can supplement your protein
right
with something that's not meat, but you have to do so by eating more of that than what you would of the meat.
Yeah, or taking artificial vitamins.
Yeah.
Which are created with chemicals that are probably leading to harm something.
Including yourself, if it's synthetic.
Yeah.
It's not created by natural means, per se. Or it's taking the essence of natural ingredients and then doing something to them to become synthesized, to become more like that.
How would they coincide that belief, which obviously is a modern version of paganism now, because the, original pagans obviously sacrificed animals as part of the rituals.
Hell, it's in the damn Bible.
Yeah. So, basically everyone who had a religion sacrificed animals as part of rituals. So, are they true pagans?
True pagans. You're not a true pagan unless you kill your dog in the name of Ishkala.
It's kind of strange that the gods would change their minds about animal sacrifices and then not want you to eat animals. But yeah. I don't know much about pagan gods or paganism much at all. But historical wise, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
A lot of Wiccans and even other pagans that I've come across, if there is a particular deity they like or that they worship or something, it's usually one that they either found in a book and discovered that they really like and really atone to, if you will, really connect with, or it's just an entity of some kind, like the one I go to, the one I pray to, if you will. I don't worship it, by the way. Just want to make that clear. I don't worship any actual entity or god. I never put it before myself. I will never do that. To me, one thing I was wanting to say actually by that real quick is one thing I freaking hate the Christians do, the more extreme ones do, is they like to say that they are second to God. Mm-hmm. They like to put themselves second to an all-powerful, all-knowing being that can do literally anything. Has no need for you to put it before yourself when you are in fact mortal and need to put yourself before quite a bit of other things, including an entity that can literally do anything and is supposed to know absolutely everything. I don't get it. And I understand the concept. I'm kind of taking it a little bit farther, but I understand that what they mean essentially is not so much like putting God in before themselves in the same way that you would put like a child before yourself. They just mean that they go by what God would want them to do rather than what they would want to do.
I think that's half of it, and for some people not even part of it. Part of it is to humble yourself so that you don't think, you are above everyone else and everything, which has the high likelihood of creating selfishness in yourself, which some people would argue that selfishness is a positive thing, but that's a whole different topic. And I'm not going to get on a tangent, but is the same concept in the old religions where you had the kings who were not considered to be the rulers of the people. They were nothing but the servants of the gods. And the kings had to answer to the gods. So everyone is underneath the gods in order to keep the king humble. And although they weren't, but
they were humble.
Yeah. And for the king to aspire to be something greater than himself, if that makes sense. I mean, if you're just aspiring to be as great as you, then most people just wouldn't try to be better, if that makes sense.
I guess the original concept was a good idea, good intentions, good way to try to keep people from being stupid and too selfish so that society could function, not only continue to function, but in fact grow and become better. But that got very quickly and very heavily perverted and corrupted into what it is, I guess, today, where they just try to put God before themselves. And to me, personally, saying that you put something or somebody before yourself, that means that you think of their needs before your own. That means you think of what they would want before what you want.
What if that person doesn't have any needs to be met?
That's my point exactly. If he's an all-knowing being, and he's all-powerful, and he's all good, he need not want. He doesn't need anything. He knows everything that you're supposed to... He knows everything about everything. If it exists, he knows it. Okay? He knows everything you're going to do. He knows everything you did do, everything you thought of. He knows the fucking shit you took 15 and a half years ago on September 3rd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but... Okay, so let's think about God as a comic book character.
Okay.
A superhero type of character, if you will. So, well, have you seen My Hero Academia?
No.
Darn it. There's a great character in there I could use as reference. Anyway, so I'll use him anyway. So there's a character called Night Eye, and he has the power of foresight. So once a day, he can use his ability against anyone that he has touched to see however long he can see into the future, everything that's going to happen. But he only uses it when he wants to use it. So who's to say that God doesn't use whichever adjective is the one that means all-knowing when he wants to, rather than it's constantly going all the time. And I would imagine that he probably wouldn't bother using it for every single person. Again, I haven't fully read the Bible, so I don't know if it actually says anywhere in there that he does do that. But...
Well, if he is all-knowing, that means he knows everything about everything, ever. Which, to me, implies, just as you know what you know right now from everything you experience, he knows everything about everything, always knows it. Everything, constantly. Mm-hmm. It's not that it constantly runs through his head, just that he knows. He knows everything. He understands everything. He is everything. That is the concept of what God is he knows everything. He is everything. Yeah. Anyway.
We're also talking about him as a literal individual, though.
Mm-hmm. But I'm also talking about him as a being, which can be the concept of anything and everything. When I say being, I just mean a consciousness.
Right. I view him
as something that can think on its own.
I view him as a literature figure. But he is nothing but the personification of... Well, I already said this in one of our podcasts, didn't I? The personification of the metaphysics of the universe.
But, yeah, I think you may have.
Yeah.
But my point is I find it to be an insult to the human soul and to the individual whenever a person says that they put that kind of entity before themselves. Because whenever my idea of putting someone before yourself, when you put someone first and you are second to them, that means that you care and worry about their needs, their wants, their everything. You care about them before you care about yourself. As simple as getting them a plate of food for supper before you make your own plate. Kind of like you would with your kids, you know. You get them a plate of food before you get your plate of food. That's how I've always seen it anyway.
Wouldn't that be a virtue, though?
Yeah, but in my opinion, why would you need to put that kind of entity before yourself when, at least in my opinion, this world is not here. We don't exist simply to just worship this entity and wait for us to die. We are here to learn, to experience, to learn about the world that is created by whatever it is that created it, be it an actual entity of some kind that's essentially God, or just got here by accident. Fucking a series of coincidental events, if you will. Just bam, all of a sudden this. But anyway, in my opinion, we're here to learn, to experience. That's why there are people that have a whole lot of awesome stuff happen to them, and that's why there are people that have a whole lot of fucked up shit, bad shit that happens to them. And that's why there are gays. That's why there are everything you can possibly think of. Because it's all of us are trying to learn everything. And how my dad sees it, and I can see it like this too, is, and even the Christians could even agree with some parts of this, that whatever entity it was that created everything, if there was like a spiritual entity that created everything, then it wanted to learn everything. Because maybe prior to this it didn't know everything. Maybe it didn't know anything. But the only way it could learn all this everything, if you will, is to break itself into what is now the physical world. Become all the physical world. And to learn everything about everything, you must experience everything. So we are essentially pieces of it. Pieces of essentially God. And we are here to experience life, to learn, to make our choices in life, to learn about the world. And we reincarnate and learn through different lives, multiple lives. And not just through human lives either, where sometimes you might reincarnate as a bug, or reincarnate as a lizard, or a dog, to learn what it's like to be a dog, or a bug, or a lizard. And each life you live, you learn new information of what it's like to be that. What it's like to be a gay guy, what it's like to be a lesbian, what it's like to be a guy with a deformity, or a woman with a deformity, a man that thinks he's a woman that thinks he's a man. I mean, even in science, it is said that with the way atoms seem to work in quantum physics, atoms experience everything. They go every possible direction simultaneously, which means that atoms experience, and pretty much want to experience, everything. Which can connect with the idea that the entity, God, if you will, is everything, which means he's technically those atoms, which then that means that he's trying to experience everything. Since the atoms want to go everything, it wants to go in every direction, that means it's like him trying to go in every direction. And each of us has like a consciousness that experiences essentially one line or one version of that of one of the various directions. If that makes any sense. So, and of course, because we can only see and experience essentially one line, or what feels like a line of experiences and of existence in life, we then live multiple lives as different things and different people and whatnot, so that we can learn all the different aspects, all the different things about existence and about the worlds. And ultimately, this entity, if it is us, then that means it's learning all of these things. That means it's learning what it's like to be a guy with a deformity, a guy that made millions of dollars by doing nothing, and a guy that made millions of dollars by doing practically everything, by like doing all the work, you know? And just experience all of these things. And, but, of course, somebody might be then like, well, does that mean we don't have free will if we are basically just parts of this entity trying to experience everything? Well, in fact, we do have free will because we choose what we want to experience.
Some people in the fields of science would disagree with you there, though.
With what exactly?
The idea that we have free will and choose things.
Yeah, I've thought about that too, because we're basically just organic robots. And by organic robots, I just mean we're the exact same thing, like what we think of like a robot. Granted, robots are essentially modeled after us.
Yeah.
But if you know what a robot is, the concept of a robot, the way their brains work and processes and everything, we're literally just that, but instead of made out of metal and running on oil, if you will, we're made out of smaller robots that run also on electricity. Fun fact, yeah. Your nervous system is literally just an electrical system. Yeah, that's why you can shock somebody and start their heart or even stop it. It's because it's all electrified. It's kind of a fun fact to really think about that and realize that, shit, my brain's actually running on electricity right now. All this is electricity. That's awesome. And our brains are actually affected by magnetic fields. Put a strong enough magnet by a person's brain, you're gonna fuck them up. I know this. It's gotta be correct. I've thought about it at least. I've never watched any videos on it, but I know that if you put a strong enough magnet at somebody's head, it's gonna fuck with them. It's gonna warp their brain. Not the physical part, but it's gonna rewire them. I know it would. Just because of the way our brains work with the nervous system and the electrical and everything, I know you can fuck with someone with a strong enough magnet. That's why people believe that all the, radio waves and all the electrical waves, if you will, that are pumping out from television and everything.
The tinfoil hat people.
Yeah, that's why they say it all fucks with your brain.
Yeah.
And I can see where they're coming from, because if it's all magnetic and electromagnetic and our brains are, use electricity, that means our brains can be affected by electromagnetism. So really,
you ever been electrocuted?
Not like to the degree of electrocuted, but I mean, I've been shocked a little bit, of course.
I've been electrocuted twice. It sucks.
I bet it does. Well, when you are electrocuted, your muscles tense up.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like that. It's almost like it's not almost like it actually is a surge of electricity going through your muscles, and of course that is like contracting them.
Have you ever been choked out before, like to the point of passing out?
No.
Okay, so I've been electrocuted twice, and I have been choked out to losing consciousness once. And
damn, you're kinky.
And I experienced a seizure. I mean, it was convulsions, but it's basically the same thing as an epileptic seizure after losing consciousness. And both of those things are almost, at least in my experience, both of those things were almost identical. Other than when you pass out, you go limp, and when you get electrocuted, you shoot up in the air, stiff as a board, and then fall on the ground and
piss yourself.
I didn't do that either time.
Good.
So yeah. But the sensation of just like your whole body tingling and like your nerves just exploding basically is exactly the same. And I also felt like I lost consciousness. At least, I don't know about the first time because I was real young. The first time I got electrocuted because I stuck a fork in a light socket or electrical socket.
You actually did that, huh?
Yeah, I did. The second time was when I was like 18 or 19 or something. And my dog chewed through the power cable to my TV, and how the hell she lived, I don't know. And I went to, pull the thing out of the electrical socket, and I ended up touching the wires that were sticking out, and so I got whatever voltage that was sent through my body, and straight as a board, fell on the ground. Getting electrocuted. That sucked too. But yeah, there was like a brief moment where I'm pretty sure, if I didn't lose consciousness, it was the same experience as losing consciousness, where like you don't know what's going on for a split second and it's just like black. But yeah, I don't know if that was relevant really, but I just thought it was interesting that getting passed out and your body respirating yourself or whatever and being electrocuted, to me, were almost the exact same experience.
But now that you've experienced all that, now you know.
Yeah.
And in your next life, you'll already know that.
Yeah. Okay, so you believe in multiple lives, reincarnation?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
In fact, my mom loves telling this story, that according to her, anyway, my big brother... Hello, doggo. He's that doggo. I was expecting someone to come through, but nope, it's just the doggo. Anyway, but according to my mom, my little brother, when he was young, very, very little, was watching my dad in the bathroom while my dad was like shaving or something, or brushing teeth, something like that, doing some kind of thing like that. And he asked my dad randomly, "Why are you big and I'm little?" And he, I think, explained to him some along the lines of whatever. But he then, apparently, my big brother mentioned the fact that he used to be big and my dad used to be little. Not in the sense of, oh, my dad used to be a kid. He's realizing this. No, I'm saying, like, he was referring to the idea that my big brother used to be my dad's dad. That used to be, basically, he was the dad, and my dad was his son in a previous life. Because there's a lot of concepts and evidence even that shows that when you're a little kid, you're still somewhat connected to your previous life. You may even still have some memories of that previous life. And so sometimes some kids grow up a little bit get old enough to where they can talk and understand things like that, or understand people and talk and communicate. And of course, if they're still connected to that previous life, then they might have some lingering memories, and then sometimes they'll actually speak about it. That's why a lot of times you sometimes do see kids that talk about a previous life they lived, because at that age it's still very young in this life, and this could still be connected to that life to some degree, spiritually speaking. I don't really understand it at all as to if that's exactly how it works or anything. I just know that it seems like that when you're very little, you can still be sometimes connected to your previous life. It's even said that people that are born, they have like a birthmark of some kind, they're born with that birthmark. Granted, that's what that means, but you know what I mean. Like like that. Some people are like maybe born with a birthmark that looks like a stab wound or something.
Right.
Well, it is said that maybe in the previous life that they lived, they were killed by getting stabbed or getting shot if it looks like they have things like that. Or just any kind of like whatever the birthmark looks like, that they may have died in the previous life in that way, and that it kind of carried over with them. In a way, spiritually speaking.
Yeah.
A lot of this is all ethereal and spiritual. There's no physical to that. It's just the spiritual aspect of your soul. And hell, I got a great experience that I would love to tell about the whole previous life thing. The idea of a soulmate, or at least a person you feel like you've met in a previous life. My girlfriend, okay, never met her up until the time that I actually ended up meeting her. That sounded bad. You know what I mean? I've never seen her up until I ended up actually meeting her and stuff. Never seen her before because she never even lived around here. She lived up in Illinois, like a good 3 hours away, you know. And moved into Indiana like in January of this year, actually. What is still this year anyway. And well, I don't know if I've mentioned on here yet. I met her on Meet Me. We ended up, talking, connecting, and everything. So we ended up meeting in person up at Eastland Mall in Evansville. Well, all the way up to this point and stuff, we of course talked up quite a bit and got on each other's Facebooks. We sent each other friend requests on Facebook, and we both stalked each other's photos. And so technically that means I've seen what she looks like. I knew what she looked like for the most part. And it was even a video she had up on her Facebook of her and some friend of hers. I don't know who exactly. Her and a friend of hers on like video chat, live streaming video chatting.
Right.
And it's just her talking to her friend, and I got to hear what she sounds like prior to actually meeting her in person. Well, anyway, come that Sunday actually, that we end up meeting, I know what she looks like because I saw pictures of her on Facebook and everything, and I technically heard her voice because of that video. But then I was up at Eastland Mall, and I went inside the front doors, and I texted her or messaged her saying I'm up by the front doors. I'm inside in the front doors, and I'm just looking around for her, waiting for her. And she's on her way and everything. Well, I see what turned out to be her walking by the front doors. Not coming in the front doors, but walking by, because she ended up coming kind of one of the side doors. And I tell you, you know how you can recognize someone, not just recognize, but I'm straight up like pick someone out of a crowd because you recognize them that much. Like your own mom or something, your own parent. There could literally be hundreds of people, and you can just pick out where your mom and dad are. Or you're in a store and you recognize somebody, and for whatever reason they just look different than everyone else.
Yeah.
You know them, you recognize them, because I don't even know how to describe it. They just straight up look different than everyone else, because everyone else just looks like people, and you can just that's your mom, or that's your brother, or that's your friend, or whoever. That rhymed. Anyway, you just even have a feeling that I know exactly who that is. That's mom, Anyway, when I saw her pass by, she had her hood up. She's wearing a light jacket hoodie thing. She had her hood up, so I couldn't see her face, but I saw her body. And I just knew that was her. I didn't just assume, well, that's probably her. I just knew, and she looked different than everyone else in the whole mall, especially even after she came up and I saw her face and everything. I knew that I knew her. Not because I saw Facebook pictures of her and was excited to see her or something. No, I straight up knew her. I felt that I recognized her from somewhere, Of course, again, prior to that, I've not seen her before ever. Never met her until then, never seen what she looked like, never stumbled upon her, passing her by in public that I can honestly think of. But I've never seen her until then. But yet, I recognized her to the degree of, straight up I could pick her out of a crowd. And that was the first moment I actually saw her in person. Because a person looks a little different in person compared to even a picture. You could look at a million pictures and put it together, what they probably look like in person, and they still look different. because you just can't quite get all the dimensions, the 3D dimension, the depth, the finer details that our eyes can pick up on. You can't tell that from the picture alone. But when I saw her, like I said, I recognized her. So me and her really believe that quite possibly, anyway, we knew each other in a previous life. Because she felt the same way, that she just could recognize me. I don't know if we're soulmates. I don't know if we really did know each other in a previous life somewhere, in a past life or something. I just know that I recognized her that day. Maybe that could be a thing. Maybe I felt like I actually have met her in a previous life, or knew her in a previous life. A lot of people think that some people, their souls will bump into each other in other lives, in other ways. Like, two people that were romantically involved in one life might meet up together in another life, or bump into each other in another life, and they're like best of friends. Or or maybe they're brother and sister, or mother and son, or whatever you want to call it. But they always bump into each other. Because you can have a soulmate with someone that you're not romantically involved with. Like, I still to some degree think, at least, that me and one of my exes in some way are soulmates, but not necessarily in the romantic aspect. Just that we are eternally intertwined with one another, that we're always going to be in some way at some point in each other's lives. At least a part of me can hope so. But anyway, but I do definitely believe in reincarnation. Not just because people say that, oh, I've totally lived a previous life. No, it's because I believe that's how it works. That we have to live multiple lives, because you can't learn everything in a single life. Because in relevance to, or when compared to, essentially eternity, 80 years ain't fucking nothing. You ain't gonna learn very much in 80 years.
It's true. Compared
to what you can learn in, 580 years. And we can't live now 500 years old. Hell, if we did, it's theorized and personified and artistically described, basically, in movies, shows, and books, that people that live for eternal, like vampires and whatnot, just go practically insane, get bored, and just get depressed because everyone you love dies because you just keep living.
Right.
Or I tell you, too, in real life, my mom used to be a CNA, and she would, of course, work at old people homes and whatnot, nursing homes, and a lot of them would be, fucking 90, 100-something years old, and the ones that weren't in the fetal position until they died, a lot of them would be, like, ready to fucking die. Straight up just at peace, like, practically telling them to kill them now, Like, there's this one woman I remember my mom telling me about. She just knew she was going. She told my mom that, she won't be here in the morning. And apparently about 2 hours later, she died. I'm assuming of natural causes. She probably, fell asleep and just, died.
Right.
Body gave up or something. But apparently she just knew she was going. And then she was absolutely ready to go, to just fucking... There's this one woman that my mom was telling me about, too, that wouldn't eat. She would literally try to starve herself because she was ready to go. She wasn't just, oh, I'm ready to go. I'm talking about, this woman was straight up like, no, I'm ready to fucking die, she would purposely not eat, trying to starve herself so she would fucking die. Because when you get that old, man, your body gets so weak and you're just ready to go. You've seen enough. If you live to 100 years old, you've seen enough in this world.
Yeah, I feel like that's mostly just because that our bodies do get like that at that age. I imagine if we aged slower, that wouldn't be the case. Like, even though you lived 100 and you experienced 100 years of things, I feel like it's the weakening of the body and the inability to have independence that, brings you to the point of being ready to die.
True. I do wonder what a person might experience if they were to some degree immortal. Even if they weren't immortal, but if they could literally live hundreds of years and their body be physically in the appearance of say they're 756 years old, but they look like they're maybe 33.
Right.
Or something, then it might be different. But in movies it is shown, in characters and whatnot, a lot of them are written to be either loving it or they get real depressed because they're in the movie Twilight, in the I would say the book, but I've never read the books. I don't know if it's in the books, but there's a scene in the last movie that they made, the part 2, Breaking Dawn, I guess, where in the spoiler alert vision of the battle, but not an actual battle, one of the characters from the Frisali, or whatever that organization is, whatever the vampire organization is called, there's one guy that apparently, according to what I've been told by my sister and stuff, is the oldest vampire of all the vampires. He's one of the oldest ones. And there's a scene where two good guys go to kill him, and he doesn't fight back. He just looks up and says, "Finally." Point being that he's supposedly the oldest of all the vampires there, and he doesn't fight. He says "finally," as in I'm finally going to die now. With honor, probably. That's probably why he wouldn't have done it himself. But yeah, point being that it's always shown in movies that even when having a young, fit body, or at least not old body, living for hundreds and even thousands of years, unless you're a god with all that power, it just gets boring, and you're just ready to go.
Yeah, but we also have to remember that that's us who don't live that long putting our ideas into what it would be like to live that long. I imagine that, at least this would be the reason for me doing it, would be to write those characters being presented that way as a way for people like us to not fear death so much. Basically the same reason a lot of people say we have religion, is to comfort people from the fear of death. But then you have the opposite, where, like you said, some of them are like, yes, I'm going to live forever, I have immortality, blah, 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 which would depict the opposite coin that I'm sure some people of. I know some people that hold the idea that immortality would be awesome.
Yeah, but there's two different versions of immortality written in a lot of literature. There's immortality in the sense of invulnerability,
yeah,
and there's the immortality as in simply agelessness.
Well, you don't die of natural causes, but you can still be killed.
Yeah, you're not. You can still be somebody could stab you, or you could fall to your death. You're completely immortal in the sense of you could die, but the only thing that doesn't kill you is you don't age.
Right.
You could be 500 years old and look like you're in your 20s. In the movie Wrath of Titans, there's the character, whatever the frick her name is, that's the main one, the female character is his guide. And essentially, apparently a goddess or whatever cursed her with agelessness, so she can still die, and she actually does in the movie. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but anyway, she dies, and but she just gets stabbed, if I remember right, basically just simply because she's not immortal. She just doesn't age.
Yeah. Well, and we know this from basically every polytheistic religion, at least the ones I have read about, that the gods are immortal, but they get killed all the time. So.
Yeah, but they mainly get killed by each other. It's not that a normal human can really kill them, it's that they can kill each other.
Yeah, but the point still being that they can be killed.
Yeah, so they're not 100% invulnerable, which I find funny. That a lot of times gods in movies are usually written, and in books, are usually written in ways where, a normal human couldn't kill them, or even like a monster wouldn't be able to kill them, but another god could kill a god.
Yeah.
Like, with the exception of any kind of weapon, god-killing weapon that the main character could end up with, other than those, excluding those, basically, just only a god can kill another god, usually. And the only thing other than a god that can kill a god is anything that's greater than a god, which is usually some kind of, what they would call some kind of titan. Whatever is in their story that is supposed to be like before the gods. So some version of a titan, basically. So something older than a god. Otherwise, it's only gods that can kill other gods in most literature and film. Which I find interesting, because they're supposed to be, immortal, and they are, but they're only immortal in the sense of when compared to mortals.
Yeah.
When compared to anything weaker than them. But anything equal to, or even a little bit greater than their own power, they are basically mortal. Or equivalent to just, they're vulnerable, I should say.
Well, I hope I remember this story right. I'm not going to tell the whole story because I definitely don't remember the whole story, but there is I don't remember if it's Sumerian, Akkadian, or Babylonian, but an ancient Mesopotamian story where you have Inanna. She goes to the underworld and she's supposed to have to stay down there in the underworld, but she's like, hey, what if I can find a replacement? So they're like, all right, if you can find a replacement for us, then we'll let you out. And they have 2 demons. They may not actually be called demons, but they're not gods. They're lesser beings that go up into the human world. And if I'm thinking of the same story, they hunt down her husband because she finds her husband feasting instead of mourning that she was sent to the underworld. And she's like, you know what? He can be our replacement. He can go to hell. And they have those 2 little demon things, and they take him to the underworld. Granted, they're the servants of other gods, but he's still a god, and they're lesser beings. I mean, they don't kill him, but they take him to the underworld to live. Or be a prisoner, or whatever he is.
Yeah, I've never really seen a movie where there's somebody that straight up... No, actually, I can't say that. There's a good show called The Magicians that, I can't ruin it because I don't know who all has seen it yet, but in season 4 actually, I shouldn't say it just came out. I just finished watching it not long ago because they finally released the season 4 on Netflix, which season 5 is coming out this next month, actually. And I won't spoil it, but in season 4, there's this entity that the gods created that cannot die. He has all the power of a god, but he cannot die. Like, literally nothing can kill him. And so the main characters, protagonists and stuff, the heroes, if you will, have to try to find a way to take care of this entity without trying to kill it, because they can't actually kill it. Not even a god could kill it. Because it's literally just straight up invulnerable to anything. Even though gods created it, they can't kill it. But they created it in a way so that it can't be killed. Which is weird.
That's weird.
Yeah. But I won't spoil like what happens or anything, but that's the premise. That's not really a spoiler. It's more like a summary that in season 4, there's this entity and it just cannot be killed. It literally is invulnerable to everything. And so, like I said, they have to find a way to defeat it without trying to kill it, because they can't. Even the gods can't kill it. Even, I'm assuming the old gods can't even. I don't know. Anyway, but prior to that, I've never seen a show or even a movie where there's a godlike character or even just an invulnerable character that, in fact, can't be killed by anything in that world. Even in Supernatural, they did a big thing with the character Death and everything, saying that he's actually older than God. And in one of the seasons, I'm going to say this because it's old now, but in one of the seasons, they actually, Sam and Dean actually kill Death with his own scythe. And I've always wondered why the writers wrote it to where he could die, because he's older than God, and he's literally the physical and spiritual manifestation of death. So how is it that they can kill Death? Even granted, it's using his own scythe, but that scythe was not created with him, unless it was.
Yeah, maybe it's the scythe that gives Death's power.
I don't know, because he can just touch someone and they die.
Yeah, that's true. But he's holding the scythe.
His cane is the scythe, I guess? Because throughout the show, when he's shown and stuff, he usually has a cane with him.
Wow, I've never actually seen the show. I was just thinking about the...
It's a great show. His character is first introduced in one of the seasons that involves with the Four Horsemen coming. It's a good season. His character is really cool, too. The way the actor portrays him, too, the way they wrote him and the actor plays him, is really cool. I think a good way, because his character is almost not bored of life, but he's lived since he's been here. He's been in the world longer than God has. He's older than God. It's hinted around and mentioned that he's older than God, and you can just tell by the way he's portrayed that he really is probably older than God. He's been around longer. He's like, he just fucking kind of doesn't care that much. And he doesn't like that he's kind of restricted right now with the ring on and everything. He's kind of part of this little game and everything. He just sees it as probably a game. The way he's portrayed it's really straight up like that's probably what Death probably is, if he really is older than God, in this world at least. And by this world I mean the world of, Supernatural, Sam and Dean and all that. In that world building, I really like how that character is portrayed, but I just don't like that he ends up dying. That Sam and Dean actually kill him with his own scythe. It's like, but he's older than God, and he's literally Death. I think they should have made it to where he wasn't able to die. That maybe they just destroyed that body, and of course he's Death and will just come right back because he's not actually dead in the first place. That even God can't kill him. I think that's how they should have written him. But that's just my own opinion. Because, he's Death. He shouldn't be able to die. Plus, I really liked his character. But his character aside, in my opinion, you shouldn't be able to kill Death. He is exactly that. He is Death. And you cannot escape Death. You cannot kill Death. You cannot get away from Death. So, I don't know why they made it...
Unless you beat him in a game.
Oh, Battleship. And Twister. And then you Melvin him. You know what that's from?
I don't.
What is it? Bill and Ted.
Oh, I should know that. And I haven't seen that in forever. But.
That's from the second one when they meet Death.
And they're making Bill and Ted 3, and I guess...
They have daughters.
Oh, is that...
That's what it is. They're older.
Yeah.
So it's not so much them. They're in there. They're in the movie, but I don't think they're like the main people to follow. I think they're just part of the group.
No, they shared a still of them standing in front of, I guess, the guy who plays Death. So I guess they're going to see him again in the movies. And then people are talking about how in the background there is Battleship up on the shelf.
I didn't know. I saw the still a little bit. There's another picture of them, of Keanu Reeves and that one guy in a phone booth with the phone and everything, all looking all like shocked, like what's going on, And another still, which is of their daughters, which, of course, they look like each other's characters. Like one looks like a girl version of Bill, and the other one looks like a girl version of Ted. And I think each of them is, I don't know. But yeah, I saw that still a little bit. I do wonder if that's going to be any good, what direction they're going to go with that, because the other two, they were pretty goofy movies, the pretty goofball, off-the-wall type movies, nothing serious by any means. Even the world building could be picked at real bad if someone really wanted to.
Yeah.
That it's not really...
They were just meant to be silly, fun movies.
Yeah, even the time travel's not really supposed to make any sense. It's supposed to just be fun movies, Just fun, laughable movies, something you laugh at, and not something you critique as artistic, or if it's an artistic masterpiece and well written and whatnot. Kind of like just watching somebody have fun with a doodle, Yeah. Just a good time is all it is, a good time. That's what a lot of movies are, in my opinion, just a good time. Whether they suck or not is up to you, more so than up to some guy that knows all kinds of, film theory and whatnot, or whatever you want to call it. Whether or not it follows a good story. If you like the story, then it's a good story, because it's a good story to you, and that's the whole point of.
Unless you like the new Star Wars movies, and in that case, you just.
Yeah, in that case, you're fucking wrong. No.
Yep.
No, I'm kidding. I really don't care one way or the other. I'm
not kidding.
Yeah, you're more of a fan than I am. I'm more of a casual nerd. I like that stuff. I enjoy it, but I'm not, into it, Maybe a few things, but otherwise I'm not into it. But you know what I should do, right?
Do it.
Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, okay.
Do it.
Do it, yeah. Oh my god. I feel stupid now.
But anyways, speaking of those movies, my girlfriend really likes those movies.
The new ones?
Just all Star Wars. And she wanted to go see the latest one that came out in theaters. She wanted to see it, and she said that she saw all the other newer ones or whatever on opening day, and opening day was 2 days. It was 2 days after opening day, the day we went to see it. And we just went and
so you saw you saw Rise of Skywalker?
Mm-hmm. What?
And?
I mean, I thought it was actually alright overall. I mean...
We can't be friends anymore.
Keep in mind, I'm a casual nerd, so it means I'm a casual fan, so I don't get all of the lore, per se. I liked the movie.
That's my problem.
I liked the movie for it being a movie. It was pretty well structured for a movie. I liked the story. I will say I would like the fact that in it, I don't want to say anything to spoil it, I guess, but...
No, go ahead.
Well, of course, Luke Skywalker makes an appearance in there as an ethereal being or whatever.
Force ghost.
Yeah, Force ghost. More powerful than you can possibly imagine, and all they do is talk to you. Anyway, he makes a nice little appearance, and this time his character is more upbeat about things, more like...
He's Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, straight up in that scene, actually, he tells... Was her name Ray or something?
Ray.
Yeah, he's just straight up like, I was wrong. Which I like, because even the actor, after doing the previous movie, said he didn't like where they took Luke Skywalker's character. He did not like that at all.
They trashed on him.
No, because in that one...
He threw his lightsaber away.
You know, like The Last Jedi or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right, sorry. The Last Jedi.
Yeah, The Last Jedi. His character was straight up like, oh, the Force is wrong, just blah, 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 and all depressed, like, and he just...
He's just a cranky old man.
Yeah, just leaves himself on a fucking island, doesn't want to fight because Blair is too much. And he's just a whiny baby. But in this one, I don't know if I would say redeems it, but he does come back and basically say, oh, I was wrong. You should do this. It's good to fight. You know, it's good to fight. You do this, you know. Do it.
Yeah, because JJ basically tried to make the last trilogy just 2 movies and try to cancel everything out from Last Jedi, which is to some people good and some people bad, and really it's kind of both, because Last Jedi was so terrible, but it's like, you can't make one movie, a second movie, and then the third movie cancel everything out from the second movie. Because then it just fucks up the whole thing.
Well, it's like what they did with the Terminator movies, the Dark Fate movie.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, fucking bombed horribly. Like, that movie did not make its money back at all. It was like,
I didn't even know it released.
Yeah, and... it was just a bad movie. I've never watched it, but I don't even know if I want to. But anyway, my point with what they did with that movie is the timeline they went by is they basically just continued from where the second one left off. Judgment Day. Or at least it's just years later after that or whatever. And all the other movies were just canceled out. So the third one where Sarah Connor is dead and whatnot, that's no longer a thing. And all the other things with the Kate Brewster and all that's just not in the lore anymore. They basically just did a separate timeline, if you will, where it just takes place sometime after Judgment Day, after the second movie ends, which doesn't start off right at that. It starts off years later and stuff. But they did it weird too. They made it to where the Terminator grows old, even like has gray hair, and it grows old and lives in a cabin and stuff for years. And the person that comes back through time to save the main woman, is some like souped up woman, but she's like completely human, but also kind of not.
Yeah, she's like a cyborg. Like
not cyborg, but not cyborg. I don't know how to describe it because I've never seen the movie, so I don't really know. And of course, Sarah Connor, the character Sarah Connor, is there and everything. And instead of going after John Connor, they're going after some girl.
Because it's got to be all women now.
Yeah, it's got to be all SJW. Girl power!
See, there's the problem with, and I don't know how things happen in this movie, but here's the problem with Star Wars. The new Star Wars is exactly that. Fucking Rey, it just starts out OP is crap. Okay? She's like, I don't know, 20-something years old in the beginning of the movie. Never touched a lightsaber, never had any training, just grew up in a desert collecting scrap for food. And that's it. First time she touches a lightsaber, beats Kylo Ren, who is trained by Luke Skywalker and Snoke for a whole bunch of years, and gets his ass kicked. Like, I was arguing with my brother the other day about it, and I was saying that she matches him in strength in the first fight. But then I rewatched that same night, The Force Awakens. No, she whips his ass. I mean, they're like evenly matched for like 5 seconds, and then she just whips his ass after she's like, the Force. It's ridiculous. And then that doesn't make any freaking sense. And then The Last Jedi, she lifts like a whole bunch of rocks, a whole bunch of boulders, easily, at the end of Last Jedi, to let everyone out of the thing and onto the Millennium Falcon or whatever it is. Also, she knows how to fly a ship after she's never flown a ship her whole life, and she flies better than any pilot that has ever been in Star Wars. The first time she gets in the Millennium Falcon. In all the other Star Wars movies, the main character had to go on a big long journey. They were jack shit. Luke Skywalker got his ass kicked by Darth Vader and a hand chopped off. Had to go get trained by Yoda. Went back, still got his ass kicked. The only reason he didn't die is because his father decided to stick up for his son and betray Palpatine, which he was planning on doing anyway. But Anakin Skywalker, first time he fought a Sith, got his ass kicked, got his hand chopped off. Anakin Skywalker went through years of training from a small boy of 9 years old. Rey, nothing. But by the time Rey is Anakin's age, after he's gone through 10 years of Jedi training, stronger than Anakin Skywalker. Stronger than Yoda. Yoda lifts a big metal generator looking thing at the end of Attack of the Clones that Count Dooku brings down, and he struggles to keep it up, and you can see it visibly. They made it in his CGI character where you can visibly see him straining, and he's a
9-year-old Jedi master, or 900-year-old Jedi master.
He is at that point the strongest Force user, and then eventually Vader becomes the strongest Force user, but at that point he is the strongest Force user. And he's struggling to lift one freaking generator. And he also lifts, before that, some stones, too. Struggles for those, too. And then, in Return of the Jedi, he fights Palpatine at the end. Or not Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith. He fights Palpatine at the end, and Palpatine's, launching the Senate seats at him or whatever, and he stops one. Again, visibly can see him straining, twisting it, visibly straining, and shoots it back. But the whole time, he's visibly freaking straining. Rey doesn't break a sweat, anytime she uses the Force to lift things way bigger, way heavier, and at a higher capacity than freaking Yoda. That is terrible. She has no flaws, is the problem. Meanwhile, the villain, who is supposed to be the one that doesn't really have that many flaws, and who's supposed to be the powerful bad guy that the whole thing is about being taken down, is a useless, whiny man who gets his ass kicked by a woman every time she turns around. It's like, what? There was one more thing, too. Everyone keeps defending Rey being OP and not needing any Jedi training because she's Palpatine's granddaughter. That doesn't matter. Luke Skywalker was Anakin Skywalker's son, the strongest Force user in history at that point. He still needed training. He couldn't just pick up a lightsaber and use the Force better than anyone else. And if you want to go by that logic, every single other Jedi was descended from another Jedi, which means that every other Jedi before them would be just as strong as that Jedi, and everyone would never need Jedi training ever.
No, you'd just be born a damn Jedi.
Right. So, from Force Awakens, ruined the entire Star Wars franchise. It just threw out all the lore and treated all the lore like shit. And just made this woman who had absolutely no flaws, could do absolutely anything, and was stronger than anyone. And that is why the new Star Wars is complete garbage. Everyone's like, oh, because you misogynist. No, it would have been fine to have Rey. I like the actress, actually, but make her character have development. Don't start her off as how she's supposed to be at the end of the series.
Yeah. That's their issue.
That was my tangent.
That's their problem, really, with all that stuff, is they try to push that stuff real hard. I mean, even in Rise of Skywalker, for a quick moment, there's actually two women that kiss.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I was watching a review where they said that they snuck in like a real quick hidden.
It's not hidden.
It's not hidden,
No,
but it's a real quick snippet.
It's like probably just a few seconds of a shot, but it's straight up. It's long enough of a shot that if you're watching the movie and you're into it and everything, you'll fucking you won't miss it. You'll see it. But they try to play it off as like a normal kiss between two people, between like a man and a woman would be in a movie.
Yeah,
and they're side characters too, so they're not really focused on just random side characters that they probably have names, but I don't know who they are.
Yeah. Have you also noticed in the new Star Wars movies, all of the leaders, the main people in the rebellion, are women?
Yeah, I mean, Princess Leia is the leader.
Yeah. And then you also have that other woman. I can remember who she is, but she's on the ship that Princess Leia and Rey go onto in The Last Jedi, where she gets blown out of and then Mary Poppins herself back in.
With the power of the Force, because she suddenly can use the Force, even though she was never trained.
That still makes no damn sense. She should have died. Is there a reason why in every other Star Wars movies, when you're in space, you're in an enclosed spaceship and not an open spaceship? Because you will fucking die if you go into space.
Because she was using the Force, but I tell you, if she was strong enough to use the Force to basically be in the vacuum of space without needing a suit, just using a Force, just using the Force to protect her, she would not need to even be in a damn ship. She could just use the Force and be out in space.
Exactly. It makes no sense. And then at the end of the Rise of Skywalker, with the Palpatine thing, she just out of nowhere knows how to bring people back to life. What?
And even before that, knows how to heal that snake thing.
I don't know anything about that part.
There's a scene in the movie where she actually then explains afterwards. She uses the Force to heal this wound on this snake creature. It turns out to be blocking the exit.
Oh, yeah, the Force heal, which apparently can only be used by the light side of the Force, and then the dark side of the Force can only sap life from people. I don't know, but that's like the whole thing that Anakin Skywalker wanted, and the entire time never figured out how to do it. But Rey just magically knows how to do it. And then when she finds out that she has the dark side in her, some shit, because apparently having somebody's blood run in you makes you part of the dark side now.
Yeah.
And she magically uses the dark side electricity.
Yeah, there's a scene where her and Kylo Ren are struggling. It's almost like a tug of war, but with the Force, with this
fucking spaceship.
Yeah, it's supposed to have Chewie in it, and he tries to provoke her to like try harder and harder and harder, and then she suddenly blows it up with the electricity Force,
Yeah,
and just accidentally does it, not even trying to do it, just accidentally.
Makes no goddamn sense.
And when using the Force like that, to use the dark side, you use the power of hate, right?
And well, not necessarily. I mean, there's a whole range of emotions. You could hate, passion, fear. Those are the three that I know. You can use hate, passion, anger, because the light side of the Force is Buddhistic. It's actually based off the Buddhist religion, about removing yourself from emotions and wants and all that stuff, while the dark side is all about basically hedonism and giving in to your desire and power and all that stuff. So Anakin turned to the dark side because of fear of loss, which is why Yoda says to him before anything ever happens to him, "I sense great pain in you. Pain leads to fear. Fear leads I'm probably going to get the damn quote wrong, but I think it's pain leads to fear, fear leads to anger, anger leads to the dark side, or something like that. But anyway, yeah. What are you saying? Because of hate.
But basically, she, it. I don't see exactly how she would use it, because she's trying to save Chewie, and granted, she doesn't like Kylo Ren at this point, but she's trying her damnedest to get the ship down. But it's not like she's trying to harm Kylo Ren. I guess if it's passion is one of the things and fear is one of the things that can lead you to the dark side, then she's passionate about saving Chewie because she's afraid that he's going to die, or be taken away or something. So she's, trying really hard using the Force to pull him back, to try to get him, to try to save him and stuff. And then suddenly just bam, without even trying, it just uses electricity.
Yeah, and I'll come on that real quick, but I think I remember what the quote was. It's not, I sense great pain in you. It's, I sense great fear in you. Fear leads to pain. Pain leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side. But anyway, that actually wouldn't be that bad. If she did accidentally use the dark side, I'd be okay with that because she wasn't ever trained. And in the fight with Kylo Ren in the beginning, if she wouldn't have whipped his ass, and she maybe, he was wounded because he got shot in the abdomen by Chewie's bowcaster. So it makes sense why he would be at a disadvantage. But she still shouldn't have been able to just completely whip his ass. She should have been able to get away somehow. But you see when she's fighting him, she is fighting with anger. It's in her. If you actually look at her face when she's fighting him, she's gritting her teeth and, giving her the whatever and using force. Not force power, but forceful blows and everything, much like a dark side user would, or a Sith or whoever, or a young Anakin Skywalker to just turn the dark side. And so then if she never did get training, but she did figure out how to use the Force, but not, complete Jedi training, and then she did accidentally use that dark side power, that actually wouldn't be a problem. The problem is, one, whipping Kylo's ass, and two, the gravitas that they have put in the Force now. If they were tugging on, like in Last Jedi, when they're both fighting over the lightsaber, using the Force pull, in that case, if she accidentally shot the lightsaber out, or shot the, electricity out there, that would make sense. Because it's a low scale. But fighting over a fucking spaceship is too much. That's too grand of a scale. Palpatine blowing up an entire freaking fleet of spaceships with his lightning is too grand of a scale.
Not just a whole fleet, straight up, literally hundreds.
That's even worse.
Yeah, literally hundreds. Just while sitting in his throne, and it literally shocks every single one of the good guy ships out of the sky. Doesn't blow them up, but just shoots them where they all shut down, and they all start raining down.
That's so stupid. If this was the case, why did he ever fail against the rebellion in the beginning?
If he was that damn powerful, why wouldn't he just
It ruins the entire first 3 movies. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. It completely ruins all those because he was so powerful. It kind of actually ruins. Not as much as 4, 5, and 6, but 1, 2, and 3, because what was the point of, being this sneaky behind-the-scenes guy when he had so much power he could have just took everything over by force by himself? It doesn't make any sense. And why was he scared of Vader? He killed Vader with minimalist lightning, according to how much lightning he could use in Rise of Skywalker. It makes no sense. The only thing that I will defend in Rise of Skywalker is everyone talking about why doesn't Palpatine just stop shooting the lightning out whenever it gets shot back to him. Like Mace Windu, Vader, Rey all shoot the lightning back. Also, Rey shouldn't be able to shoot the lightning back.
No, she's blocking it with the sabers.
Yeah, it's a technique, though, where you make it go back to him. Apparently it's in the comics or something. Mace Windu is the only person who actually can use that ability with the lightsaber. Yoda can gather the Force back up in his hands and shoot it back, because he does that to Count Dooku in Attack of the Clones. But again, we're getting on this big grand scale while Rey can do absolutely anything with absolutely no training. But anyway, as someone who has been electrocuted, you can't really stop whatever is happening to you or whatever you're doing, because you're getting electrocuted. Your body will not function the way you want it to. So I don't see a problem with any of the 3 times he was electrocuted in him not stopping it, because he's being electrocuted. It's not that easy to stop it. But him getting electrocuted and blowing up, also a problem. Or his face melting off, or whatever it was. Ridiculous.
I don't remember, but yeah, he gets just burnt up to destroyed. He's just gone.
It's so bad. I'm gonna go see it, but where did you go to see it? The Showplace
Cinema in Newburgh.
Did they have a thing up saying that you couldn't use free admission passes or anything?
No. We also went kind of in the late morning, like 11:30.
Yeah, I always go early.
When it was like $6 a person.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of free admission passes that we got for Christmas and stuff. So I told her we're going to use those for that, because I'm not paying money to see it.
One thing I want to say real quick. I say Merry Christmas. I know I'm pagan. Do you think I would say Happy Yule? And I do sometimes, yeah, for the most part. But I've grown up saying Merry Christmas, because in my eyes, that's just what I mean is Merry Christmas. You know, it's a nice greeting. It's essentially like me giving you good blessings. It's me giving you good fortune, or wishing good fortune upon you, as it were. And I say Merry Christmas, and I would like people to know that if I ever tell you Merry Christmas and you get offended, I'm not sorry, because of what it means. Granted, if you're Jewish and I say Merry Christmas to you, and if you look at me and say Happy Hanukkah, I'll know that you mean good intentions by that. It's essentially the same thing as saying Godspeed, or have a safe trip, or basically just wishing good fortune upon me. If you say Happy Holidays, I know you mean the same thing, but I kind of get a little cringy, because I know you're also trying to not be offensive, because you're just trying to not assume whatever religion I am, or believe in, or what have you. I will say Merry Christmas. One time I recently said Happy Holidays to someone, because I liked them. I thought they were cool, so I wanted to show them a little bit of respect, to that degree at least, in that way. But I will tell a person Merry Christmas, and it's because, again, it's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to push any, especially no Christian beliefs upon you. I'm just simply saying Merry Christmas, which in modern culture is just a good fortune greeting. It's just basically like saying, hey, I hope you have a great day. I hope good fortune comes your way. That rhymed. With whatever's going on with this celebration of this winter, whatever winter holiday. Whatever the fuck you're celebrating. Happy Kwanzaa for all I care.
Oh, it's a made up holiday.
Don't
matter. They kind of all are, but
yeah. But even the pagan one is more of a made-up one. It's just whatever the tribes of the various areas made of it. It's just basically celebrating that they're not dead yet, with it being winter, and celebrating the, winter solstice. And of course, over time, it was more spiritual too, I guess, anyway. And became more about, the winter solstice, and just celebrating all of that, and praying to the gods, and celebrating to the gods and in honoring them and honoring all of nature and honoring each other. And I like the honoring each other part, where you're honoring your tribe, your people, your loved ones, because that's really what even Christmas has always been supposed to be about, is loving and appreciating your loved ones, the people you love and care about and respect. Your friends included in that, just everybody, including all of humans, really. Because back then, especially humans weren't exactly the dominant thing, we weren't just everywhere, so human lives were a lot more precious back then. So it's good to stick together as a species at that time to, not die.
Yeah. I got one comment and 2 questions to end this on. Okay, my comment is, I find it strange about how Christians celebrate Christmas on December 25th, because according to the Orthodox Church, which is the church that Jesus created, they celebrate Christmas on January 7th.
I think I heard about that.
Because apparently Jesus was actually born January 7th. Well, that was my comment. I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of thing going on there, like the Catholic Church changes everything and fixes everything.
No, what it is the celebration that took place, the pagan celebration of Yule, and the various versions
the Romans.
Happened right around the winter solstice, which is about 21st to 23rd.
For some reason, I totally blanked on the fact that the split between the Orthodox and the Catholic Church was Rome was the Catholic Church, where they integrated the pagans in, so that makes sense why they would do that now. Okay, well, thank you. You just solved my own my own questioning comment. Okay, 2 short questions. One question, because you said something about how you said happy holidays to someone because you wanted to respect them, which makes sense. But philosophically, I guess, here's my question. Is it respectful for you to say happy holidays to someone, or is it disrespectful for someone else to expect you to say happy holidays to them to not offend them? Not that this person did that, but in general.
So your question is it disrespectful for me to say happy holidays to them, or for them to just assume I'm supposed to?
Is it disrespectful for you to say Merry Christmas to someone and not happy holidays because you don't know what their stuff is? Or is it disrespectful for someone to expect you to say happy holidays so that you don't offend them?
I would say probably the second one. A lot of people would say definitely the first one, but I don't see it as disrespectful. I don't even see it as disrespectful. See, hell, I get a little cringy when somebody says God bless you to me when I sneeze. But, of course, I don't let it, get to me, because I know what they mean by it.
Because you're not a sensitive pussy?
Yeah. Because I know what they mean by it. It'd be the same thing as if you sneezed and I said, by the divine, God, may the gods bless you.
God bless you, Kesha. She just sneezed.
Yeah. It's literally just it's just literally wishing good fortune upon them after they have sneezed,
Yeah. I heard somewhere that originally it was, at least somewhere in history, that they thought that the sneeze was the exiting of demons out of your body. So they say, God bless you, so the demons couldn't re-enter. I don't know if that's true or not, but
probably something along the lines of that, I bet you.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just came to the point where now I always say Gesundheit, which is like the Americanized version of the German phrase for God bless you. Because even saying bless you, despite the fact that term itself is not actually Christian, it's just been so heavily associated with Christian things that when I say it, I get a little cringy.
Yeah.
So I just say Gesundheit. Plus, it's more fun to say Gesundheit. It's more casual, more informal. Plus, you more so expect older people to say, "Oh, bless you, dear,"
second question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you said you would say Merry Christmas to anyone, right? You know, it's that you're not being disrespectful, and you said if I say it to a Jewish person and they say Happy Hanukkah back to me, whatever, would you tell someone wearing a yarmulke Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, or Happy Hanukkah?
I don't know, because
you know they're Jewish.
See, in that case, it might be a little different, because then I know what they are.
It's true.
Then I know that saying Merry Christmas would be weird for them.
Yeah.
But the thing is if they're smart, they would know that me saying Merry Christmas is basically like me saying Happy Hanukkah. It's kind of like this. In the movie Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, they do a goofy version of this, but they like to make fun of the idea of, tribes have their own way of expressing what's good and what's not. And in that one, they make the joke of the Wachati tribe, when they like you, they spit in your face. Because that's just funny. We know the idea that, any gesture could be whatever the hell the group says it is. Any symbol is no stronger than what we make it. Because in real life, that's how things are. Hell, throwing your left shoe at someone is an insult in the Middle East.
Yeah, or in, I want to say Japan, but it's an Asian country. Showing somebody the bottom of your feet is basically the same thing as giving them the middle finger.
Yeah, and the point being, in that movie especially, is they're doing a comical version of that. Basically, in one culture, spitting in another person's face is an absolute insult. But in this particular culture, it's actually a sign that they like you. So, I mean, in our culture, if you were to go to a place, to a tribe like that or something, and they spit in your face, until you were to be told what that means, you would assume it's an insult. But, of course, in that culture, they don't think it's an insult. They do it because they like you. So they just spit in your face. Same concept as me saying Merry Christmas, especially if I don't know what they are. If they look like just an average person, I don't know what religion they are. Me saying Merry Christmas is equivalent to like the Wachati chief spitting in Ace Ventura's face and smiling. Shows he likes him. But Ace Ventura doesn't know that until he asks, basically, why the hell did they spit in my face? And the answer is, it just shows how that they like you. It means they like you. In fact, the British guy that goes with him is like, oh, Ace, that's a very good sign. It means they like you. I forget exactly the quote, but he's like, it's a very good sign. It's very honorable. So, to answer the question, if I saw a dude, basically, obviously, straight up Jewish as fuck, would I say Merry Christmas? To be quite honest, I would probably think about it and would want to, but then probably chicken out, but I would really want to. And maybe I almost would. Just because I wouldn't say Happy Hanukkah because I'm not Jewish, but they could also get offended if I said Merry Christmas, but also I know what I mean by it, and if they're smart enough, they know they should I would like them to understand all I mean by it is simply good fortune to you on this day of celebration of whatever it is you celebrate. Or at least for me, I celebrate it like this, and it's my way of saying good fortune to you. Sadly, though, people don't always take it like that. They don't take a second to think about the fact, in his particular line of whatever he believes in, even if I don't agree with it, it's how they express good fortune upon you, or basically, tell you, hey, I hope things are good for you. And that people just don't think about that. But people know that. People know whenever somebody says Happy Hanukkah. It's even shown in movies and stuff. In Nightmare Before Christmas, as in the end of the movie, when Santa Claus is riding off away from Halloween Town, he yells out "Happy Halloween," and Jack Skellington says "Merry Christmas" while waving at him. Granted, that's the opposite of what I'm saying, but basically they know what they mean by that.
Right.
You know, they just literally mean good fortune to you, basically, is the best way to describe it. It's good fortune to you. And, so, yeah, but most people don't really take a second to think that's just how he means good fortune to me. It's the equivalent of him saying Happy Hanukkah to me, or Happy Kwanzaa, or whatever the fuck it is, or even Happy Yule. But, yeah, most people don't think about that, so to say that would actually offend anybody if they weren't already, you know, if they weren't, you know, a Christian or somebody that says Merry Christmas in the first place.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea of saying Happy Holidays and stuff, yeah, you can say it, Happy Holidays, why not? It's fine. But just don't get mad if I don't say Happy Holidays and I say, like, Merry Christmas or even Happy Yule. If I say Happy Yule, you don't get offended. Especially if you know that I'm pagan, understand all I'm saying is the equivalent of whatever the frick your religion says. It's the equivalent of that.
Right. Well, the way I see it now is if someone tells you happy whatever their religion is instead of happy holidays or them worrying about whatever religion you are, most people in their lives, religion is one of the most important and deeply held personal things in their lives. So they are then forgetting about any differences you have, forgetting about any religious animosity between each other, and including you in something that is very personal and dearly held to them. So, in reality, telling someone Merry Christmas if you're Christian, or Happy Hanukkah if you're Jewish, or whatever the Muslim version is, or Winter Solstice or Yule, it's really the most inclusive thing you could do.
Or to say your version of that?
Yeah. I mean, as long as the other person isn't easily offended and thinking about it the wrong way, it's you're including someone else in your holiday and forgetting about any differences between you and that other individual. So really saying that would be the most inclusive thing you can do, instead of being exclusive and saying, oh, well, you can't celebrate my holiday with me, so I can't tell you Merry Christmas. I have to tell you Happy Holidays or Happy Hanukkah, and you have your holiday and I have my holiday. If that makes sense. I mean, it's all perspective, but you would think in this era of mandatory inclusivity, the people that are most against this would be the ones most for it.
That is probably going to be the end. I'm tired. Ladies and gentlemen, the it.